My name is Harper Bennett. I'm 16 years old, and I thought family meant celebrating each other's milestones until my aunt looked at me across the party planning table and said, "Harper's party can wait." What happened next proved that while I was counting down the days to my sweet 16, my family was ready to sacrifice my once-in-a-lifetime celebration because my 24-year-old cousin got engaged on the same day and needed all the family's attention and resources. Before I tell you how one phone call from our party planner shattered every assumption my family had made about canceling my celebration, and how payment receipts exposed a non-refundable 8-0 commitment that couldn't be undone, I'd love to know where you're watching from. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you want to hear how 3 words, "party must happen," silenced an entire family and made them realize they had tried to steal a teenager's birthday to celebrate an adult's engagement. Let me take you back to where this story really begins. I'm the youngest of 3 kids in my immediate family, with 2 older brothers who are 19 and 22 and already in college. Being the baby of the family and the only girl, my sweet 16 has been something we've talked about and planned for years. My parents, David and Michelle Bennett, are both successful professionals who have always been generous with celebrating milestones and family achievements. When my brothers turned 16, they each got meaningful celebrations. Kevin got a surprise camping trip with all his friends, and Tyler got tickets to see his favorite band with a group of buddies. But as the only daughter, my parents wanted to make my sweet 16 extra special. They knew this was a once-in-a-lifetime milestone for me, and they wanted to create memories that would last forever. "Harper, this is your special day," Mom told me when we started planning 6 months ago. "You only turned 16 once, and we want it to be perfect." The planning process had been so much fun. We chose a beautiful venue at the Riverside Country Club, selected a DJ who specialized in teen parties, planned a menu that included all my favorite foods, and designed decorations in my favorite colors, blush pink and rose gold. The guest list included 40 of my closest friends from school, plus extended family members who had always been important in my life. Everyone was excited about the party and had marked their calendars for March 15th, my actual birthday. My extended family includes my dad's sister, Aunt Linda, who is married to Uncle Rick and has 2 children, my cousins, Jessica, 24, and Brandon, 21. Jessica graduated from college 2 years ago and works in marketing, while Brandon is still in college. Aunt Linda has always been involved in family celebrations and seemed excited about helping with my sweet 16 planning. She offered to coordinate with some of the vendors and help with decorations, which my parents appreciated since they were both busy with work. "I want to make sure Harper's party is absolutely perfect," Aunt Linda told my parents. "This is such an important milestone for her." The party was scheduled for Saturday, March 15th, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. We had confirmed all the vendors, sent out invitations, and I had found the perfect dress, a beautiful blush pink gown that made me feel like a princess. Everything was set, and I was counting down the days with barely contained excitement. But 2 weeks before the party, something happened that would change everything. My cousin Jessica got engaged to her boyfriend Ryan, whom she had been dating for about 1.5 years. It was happy news, and our family was excited to welcome Ryan into the family officially. Jessica called to share the news on a Sunday evening, and everyone was thrilled for her. She and Ryan were planning to get married in about a year, giving them time to plan a wedding and save money. "We're so happy," Jessica told the family during a video call that included my parents, Aunt Linda and Uncle Rick, and my grandparents. "Ryan proposed last night, and it was absolutely perfect." Everyone congratulated Jessica and Ryan, asking about their plans and expressing excitement about the upcoming wedding. But then Jessica mentioned something that made my heart skip a beat. "The funny thing is, Ryan proposed on March 13th, which means our engagement will always be associated with Harper's birthday weekend," Jessica said with a laugh. "Maybe we'll have to have a joint celebration." She said it jokingly, but I noticed Aunt Linda's face light up with interest. "That's actually not a bad idea," Aunt Linda said thoughtfully. "We could combine the celebrations somehow." What do you mean?" Mom asked, though her tone suggested she already didn't like where this was going. "Well, Jessica's engagement is such huge news for the family," Aunt Linda explained, "and Harper's party is happening right after the engagement. Maybe we could incorporate some engagement celebration into the Sweet 16 party. I felt a pit forming in my stomach. This was supposed to be my party, my special day, my once-in-a-lifetime Sweet 16 celebration. Linda, Dad said carefully, Harper's party has been planned for months. It's specifically designed as a Sweet 16 celebration for her. Of course, Aunt Linda replied quickly. I'm not saying we should change Harper's party. I'm just thinking we could add some engagement celebration elements to make it even more special for the whole family. The conversation ended without any decisions being made, but I could tell that Aunt Linda was already thinking about ways to make Jessica's engagement part of my birthday celebration. Over the next few days, Aunt Linda called my parents several times to discuss ideas for incorporating engagement celebration into my Sweet 16 party. It would be so efficient to celebrate both milestones at the same time, she argued, and think how meaningful it would be for Harper to share her special day with her cousin. Linda, this is Harper's birthday party, Mom replied firmly. It's not an engagement party. Jessica can have her own engagement celebration. But the timing is perfect, Aunt Linda persisted. Everyone will already be together for Harper's party. We could just add some engagement elements without changing the basic structure. I could hear these conversations from my room, and each one made me more anxious about what was going to happen to my party. The situation escalated when Jessica called me directly to discuss the idea. Harper, I had this amazing thought, Jessica said excitedly. What if we shared your party? It could be your Sweet 16 and my engagement celebration. How fun would that be? Jessica, I said carefully, this party has been planned as my Sweet 16 for months. Everyone knows it's my birthday celebration. Right, and it still would be, Jessica replied. We'd just add some engagement stuff too. Maybe Ryan and I could do a toast, and we could have some engagement decorations alongside your birthday decorations. But then it wouldn't really be my Sweet 16 anymore, I explained. It would be a joint party. Harper, don't be selfish, Jessica said, her tone becoming less friendly. This is a huge milestone for me too. Getting engaged is just as important as turning 16. The word selfish stung. I wasn't being selfish for wanting my own birthday party to remain my birthday party. Jessica, you can have your own engagement party, I suggested. Why does it have to be combined with my Sweet 16? Because the timing is perfect, and it would be so much more efficient for the family, Jessica replied. Plus, sharing celebrations brings families closer together. That conversation ended with Jessica saying she was going to talk to Aunt Linda about making this work for everyone. 2 days later, Aunt Linda called my parents for what she described as an important family meeting about the party situation. I've been thinking about this a lot, Aunt Linda began, when we all gathered in our living room. And I really think we need to reconsider the March 15th party. What do you mean reconsider? Dad asked. I mean, Jessica's engagement is huge news for our family, and the timing with Harper's party creates a conflict, Aunt Linda explained. How is it a conflict? Mom asked. They're separate events. Well, that's just it, Aunt Linda replied. Everyone's going to want to celebrate Jessica's engagement, but Harper's party is taking up the whole weekend. Family members will be focused on the Sweet 16 instead of being able to properly celebrate Jessica's milestone. I stared at Aunt Linda in disbelief. She was suggesting that my birthday party was somehow preventing people from celebrating Jessica's engagement. Linda, Dad said slowly, Harper's party has been planned for 6 months. Invitations have been sent, vendors have been booked, everything is confirmed. I understand that, Aunt Linda replied, but sometimes we need to be flexible when bigger things come up. Bigger things? I asked, finding my voice. What's bigger than my Sweet 16? Harper, sweetie, you'll have other birthdays, Aunt Linda said condescendingly. But Jessica only gets engaged once. This is a once-in-a-lifetime milestone for her. My Sweet 16 is also once in a lifetime, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. Right, but you're 16, Aunt Linda continued. You'll have your 17th birthday, your 18th birthday, your 21st birthday. Jessica won't get engaged again. The logic was twisted and hurtful. Yes, I would have other birthdays, but I would never have another Sweet 16. This was my once-in-a-lifetime milestone, too. What exactly are you suggesting? Mom asked, her voice getting sharper. I'm suggesting that we postpone Harper's party for a few weeks so that Jessica and Ryan can have an engagement party on March 15th instead, Aunt Linda said. The room fell silent. She was asking us to cancel my Sweet 16 party so that Jessica could have an engagement party on my birthday. Absolutely not, Dad said immediately. Harper's party is not being postponed. David, please consider what's best for the whole family, Aunt Linda pleaded. Jessica is the oldest grandchild. Her engagement is a major family milestone. Everyone will want to celebrate with her. Then they can celebrate with her at her own engagement party on a different date, Mom replied firmly. But the venue is already booked for March 15th, Aunt Linda continued. And all the vendors are confirmed. It would be so much easier to just switch which celebration happens that day. That's when I realized what Aunt Linda was really suggesting. She wanted to take over my entire party, the venue, the vendors, the date, everything, and just change it from a Sweet 16 to an engagement party. You want to steal my party, I said, my voice shaking with emotion. Harper, I'm not stealing anything, Aunt Linda replied. I'm suggesting a family compromise that benefits everyone. How does canceling my Sweet 16 benefit me? I asked. You can have your party in a few weeks, Aunt Linda said dismissively. It's not canceled, just postponed. But we all knew that wasn't true. If we postponed my party by several weeks, we'd lose the venue, the vendors, and the carefully coordinated plans that had taken months to arrange. My actual birthday would pass without celebration, and any future party would feel like an afterthought. The meeting ended with my parents firmly refusing to postpone my party. Aunt Linda left angry and disappointed, making comments about how our family wasn't being supportive of Jessica during her most important life milestone. Over the next week, the pressure intensified. Aunt Linda enlisted other family members to call and advocate for postponing my Sweet 16 to make room for Jessica's engagement celebration. Harper can have a party anytime, my grandmother said during one phone call. But Jessica needs to celebrate her engagement while the excitement is fresh. It would show such maturity if Harper volunteered to postpone her party for her cousin, my grandfather added during another conversation. Even some extended family members who had been invited to my party began calling to suggest that a family compromise would be the mature thing to do. The pressure was intense and hurtful. Family members who had seemed excited about my Sweet 16 were now suggesting that I should sacrifice my celebration for Jessica's benefit. 3 days before my party, Aunt Linda made one final attempt to change our minds. She came to our house with Jessica and Ryan, and they all sat down with my parents and me for what Aunt Linda called a family intervention. Harper, Aunt Linda began, we need you to understand how selfish you're being about this party situation. Selfish? Mom interrupted. How is Harper selfish for wanting to keep her own birthday party? Because Jessica's engagement is more important right now, Aunt Linda replied. The whole family wants to celebrate with Jessica and Ryan, but Harper is preventing that by insisting on keeping her party on the same weekend. My party is on my actual birthday, I pointed out. It's not the same weekend as Jessica's engagement. Jessica got engaged on March 13th. My birthday is March 15th. Those are different days. But the celebration energy is the same time period, Jessica chimed in. People can't be expected to celebrate my engagement and then immediately switch to celebrating your birthday. It's too much. So I should give up my birthday so you can have an engagement party? I asked. You should share the weekend, Jessica replied. We could have the engagement party on March 14th and your Sweet 16 on March 15th, but with a more low-key celebration so people aren't overwhelmed. That suggestion revealed what Jessica really wanted. For me to scale down my Sweet 16 celebration so that her engagement party could be the main event of the weekend. Jessica, Dad said firmly, Harper's party has been planned for months. The venue is booked, the invitations are sent, the vendors are confirmed. We're not changing our plans. Then you're being unfair to Jessica, Ryan spoke up for the first time. Her engagement should be the family's priority right now. Harper's Sweet 16 is also a priority, Mom replied. She's been looking forward to this for months. The conversation continued for over an hour, with Aunt Linda, Jessica, and Ryan taking turns trying to convince us to cancel or postpone my party. Their arguments kept coming back to the same themes. Jessica's engagement was more important than my birthday. Adult milestones should take priority over teenage celebrations, and I was being selfish for not voluntarily giving up my party for my cousin's benefit. Finally, Aunt Linda delivered an ultimatum. "If you insist on having Harper's party on March 15th, she said, then Jessica, Ryan, and our immediate family won't be attending. We'll be having our own engagement celebration that day, and we expect the extended family to choose which event to attend." She was forcing family members to choose between my Sweet 16 and Jessica's impromptu engagement party. "That's your choice, Linda," Dad replied. "But Harper's party is happening as planned." Aunt Linda, Jessica, and Ryan left our house angry and determined to proceed with their competing celebration. The next morning, I woke up feeling anxious and sad about the family conflict surrounding what should have been the happiest day of my teenage life so far. But around 10 a.m., our phone rang with a call that would change everything. "Mrs. Bennett, this is Sarah from Elite Event Planning," the caller said when Mom answered. "I'm calling about Harper's Sweet 16 celebration this Saturday." Mom put the call on speaker so we could all hear. "I've been trying to reach Linda Bennett about some changes she wanted to make to the party," Sarah continued. "But I wanted to confirm with you directly since you're the primary contact on the contract." "What changes?" Mom asked. "Mrs. Linda Bennett called yesterday asking about converting Harper's Sweet 16 party into an engagement celebration instead," Sarah explained. "She wanted to know if we could change the decorations, menu, and music to be more appropriate for an adult engagement party." My heart stopped. Aunt Linda had been trying to hijack my party behind our backs. "She also asked about changing the guest list and the party timeline," Sarah continued. "But when I reviewed the contract, I saw that the party is fully paid for and non-refundable. The total cost was $8,000, and the payment was made in full 6 weeks ago. $8,000. My parents had paid $8,000 for my Sweet 16 party, and it was completely non-refundable. I told Mrs. Linda Bennett that any changes to the party would need to be approved by you as the primary contact," Sarah said. "But I also wanted to let you know that with only 3 days' notice, most changes wouldn't be possible anyway. Our vendors are already preparing based on the original party specifications." Mom thanked Sarah for calling and confirmed that no changes would be made to the party. After hanging up, we all sat in stunned silence as we processed what Aunt Linda had tried to do. "She tried to steal your party," Dad said, his voice tight with anger. "She called the event planner behind our backs to try to convert your Sweet 16 into Jessica's engagement party." "But she can't do that, right?" I asked nervously. "No, she can't," Mom reassured me. "The contract is in our name, we paid for everything, and it's all non-refundable. Your party is happening exactly as planned." That afternoon, Mom called Aunt Linda to confront her about the call to the event planner. "Linda, did you call Elite Event Planning to try to change Harper's party into an engagement party?" Mom asked directly. There was a long pause before Aunt Linda answered. "I was just exploring options," she said defensively. "I thought maybe we could work out a compromise." "You tried to change Harper's 8-0 party into Jessica's engagement party without asking us," Dad said, joining the conversation. "I didn't know it cost that much," Aunt Linda replied weakly. "You didn't know because you didn't ask," Mom pointed out. "You just assumed you could take over our daughter's celebration for your daughter's benefit." "I was trying to find a solution that worked for everyone," Aunt Linda protested. "The solution that works for everyone is for Jessica to plan her own engagement party on her own date," Dad said firmly. The conversation revealed that Aunt Linda had been operating under the assumption that my Sweet 16 was a simple, inexpensive party that could easily be changed or canceled. She had no idea that my parents had invested $8,000 in creating a special celebration, that vendors had been booked months in advance, or that the entire event was non-refundable and locked in by contract. $8,000? Aunt Linda repeated when the full cost became clear. $8,000, Mom confirmed. Fully paid and completely non-refundable. Harper's party is happening on March 15th exactly as planned. The revelation about the party's cost and non-refundable nature seemed to finally make Aunt Linda understand that her plan to take over my celebration wasn't possible. "I didn't realize you had invested so much in Harper's party," she admitted. "That's because you never asked," Dad replied. "You just assumed you could replace Harper's celebration with Jessica's without any consequences." My Sweet 16 party happened on March 15th as originally planned, and it was absolutely perfect. The venue was beautiful, the decorations were exactly what I had dreamed of, and almost all of my friends and family members attended to celebrate with me. Aunt Linda, Uncle Rick, Jessica, and Ryan did not attend, choosing instead to have their own small engagement celebration at a restaurant that evening. But everyone else came, including my grandparents, who had initially suggested I should postpone my party. Once they understood the full situation, including the 8-0 cost and Aunt Linda's attempt to steal the party, they were horrified by her behavior. "Harper, we're so sorry," grandmother said when she arrived at the party. "We didn't understand what Linda was trying to do. This is your special day, and we're here to celebrate you." My friends had no idea about the family drama that had led up to the party. They just saw a beautiful celebration with amazing food, great music, and perfectly coordinated decorations in my favorite colors. "Harper, this party is incredible," my best friend Emma told me. "You look like a princess and everything is so perfect." The DJ played all my favorite songs, the photo booth captured hundreds of fun memories with my friends, and the evening felt like a fairy tale come to life. But the most meaningful moment came when Dad gave a toast during dinner. "Tonight, we're celebrating Harper's 16th birthday," he began, "but we're also celebrating the young woman she's becoming. Harper has shown incredible maturity and grace during the past few weeks, standing up for herself while remaining respectful to family members who didn't always show her the same respect." He continued, "Harper, you've learned an important lesson about boundaries and self-advocacy. Sometimes people will try to make you feel selfish for protecting what's important to you. But there's nothing selfish about standing up for your own special moments and refusing to let others diminish them." The party was everything I had dreamed it would be, and more. I felt celebrated, loved, and proud of myself for not giving in to the pressure to sacrifice my special day. 3 months later, Jessica and Ryan had their official engagement party at a different venue. It was a lovely celebration, and our family was happy to attend and celebrate their milestone. But the relationship between our families was permanently changed by what had happened around my Sweet 16. Aunt Linda eventually apologized for trying to take over my party, but her apology felt more about smoothing over family relations than genuine remorse for her actions. "I was just so excited about Jessica's engagement that I got carried away," she explained. "I didn't mean to hurt Harper's feelings." But her actions had revealed something about her character and priorities that couldn't be unseen. When faced with a conflict between celebrating her adult daughter's engagement and respecting her teenage niece's birthday party, she had chosen to try to steal my celebration rather than plan a separate event for Jessica. The most important lesson I learned from this experience is that some people will try to make you feel selfish for protecting what's important to you, especially when what's important to you interferes with what they want. But there's nothing selfish about standing up for your own milestones, your own special moments, and your own right to be celebrated. My Sweet 16 was a once-in-a-lifetime celebration that I'll remember forever, not just because of the beautiful party my parents threw for me, but because I learned that I have the right to protect my own special moments from people who would diminish them for their own benefit. And the family that tried to make me feel guilty for not giving up my party learned that some celebrations can't be moved, changed, or stolen, especially when they're backed by an 8-0 non-refundable contract. Have you ever had family members try to overshadow your special moments with their own celebrations? How do you handle people who make you feel selfish for protecting what's important to you? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories about family boundaries, standing up for yourself, and learning that your milestones matter just as much as everyone else's.